Hello, and welcome to another edition of Senior Notebook. My name is Cleveland Thrower, and with me is Stacy Pierce. Stacy, how are you?
I'm doing well, Cleveland.
Stacy, would you tell our audience exactly what your title is here?
Sure. My name is Stacy Pierce, and I'm a member service specialist with Corning Credit Union.
Okay, member service specialist. We are going to talk about fraud today, or scam. And it's important that you know that you, at any point in time, could be involved with a scam or fraud. And it's important that you know whether or not you've been involved. So get yourself a pencil and a piece of paper, and you might want to take some notes here on Senior Notebook. Let's just get started. Who is most likely to be affected by fraud, Stacy?
So seniors over 60 are most likely to be affected by fraud for a few reasons.
Over 60.
Over 60. One could be because they're home more often. Maybe they don't work any longer, or they have any type of condition that limits them from either driving or leaving the house. They're also more likely to take the phone calls and to get those mails. That's who they're targeting, is people over 60.
Fraud has no respect to race, person, place. How do you know if you're being affected by fraud?
Well, you are right that fraud does not discriminate at all against anybody. If you are willing to talk to these people, even if you don't have any money, then they're going to go after you, because they will encourage you to become a victim, whether you have money or not.
Okay.
So you know that you have become a victim by a couple of things. One is monitoring your statements, your bank statements, setting up alerts on your banking. So if you have activity on your account, you're being alerted. So you might see that. You also would notice that you would have a lot of phone calls from unsolicited places. So also, again, with mail too, unsolicited interactions through the mail. So that's one good way.
I don't want to put you in a spot or paint you into a corner, but roughly how many people do you think have been involved in fraud in a year?
So we'll just take 2023. In 2023, there were 3.3 million complaints.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's just the ones that were reported. A lot of fraud goes unreported because our seniors are either embarrassed, or they are feeling like their family would be thinking that they were not able to take care of themselves any longer, so they don't report it. So those are just the ones that are reported.
Okay. What do you do if you believe that you are that fraud might have taken place in your life, or with your money?
Sure. So the first thing to do would be to contact your financial institution. So again, those contact numbers would vary for everybody. You would call whoever you deal with your finances. You would call them and let them know that you feel like you have some suspicious activity. Secondly, if it's internet fraud, you would want to unplug your computer, because a lot of these are people who are calling you saying that they are with maybe an internet. They're trying to save you from scammers. The scammers are trying to save you from scammers. They're with McAfee or they're with Microsoft.
Sure.
So they want to give you access. They want you to give them access to your computer. So the first thing to do would be to unplug your computer.
Okay. If you are an individual that has nothing to lose, should you still monitor fraud or be aware of it?
You really should. I think everybody should be aware of fraud and monitoring it. First of all, you would want to watch out for your fellow American. You would want to watch out for anyone around you. But also, they're always trying to get you, even if you have, let's say, not a lot in the bank. A lot of these people will talk you into getting loans. So, and then they will take advantage of you in that way. So it's important that you don't even give them any avenue into your life at all.
Okay. So you're saying that even if you don't have money, scammers or people who are involved in fraud will definitely try to get your information to maybe get you to sign up for various things.
They will. So even if you don't have money in your financial institution, they could, by getting your information, they could sign up for credit cards. They could apply for loans in your name while using your information. So they're still going to make out very, very well, even though you did not, they didn't take money directly from you. They've used your information.
Okay. Okay. Stacy, this is so interesting. Thank you very much. We're going to pause at this particular time for some very important messages, and we'll be right back with Stacy Pierce here on Senior Notebook. Hi, and welcome back to Senior Notebook. My name is Cleveland Thrower, and I'm here at the Corning Credit Union with Stacy Pierce. Stacy, we were talking about fraud and a lot of the complicated things involved in fraud. And maybe I shouldn't use the word complicated because it's not as complicated as you may think. Before we go into this portion of fraud or scamming, you need to know that any good financial institution that you have will never ask you for personal information, your personal information, because they already have it. That's number one. And there are some scammers who will call you and pretend to be the bank, or pretend to be the Corning Credit Union, or pretend to be some other financial institution, and they will want to get your information. You have to be careful of emails, you have to be careful of phone calls, and you have to be careful of text. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would.
Let me ask you, I have a number here, 1-877-908-3360 is a number that you can call if you think you've been involved in fraud. Do you have a number,
I
Stacy?
do, and I do appreciate you sharing that number, Cleveland. That is a number to AARP, and that is they are excellent at assisting with fraud and getting you going in the right direction. One thing I do want to point out is that the government is tracking fraud. The government is keeping an eye on it, trying to keep it under control. So the best thing you can do is you can call 1-800-FTC-HELP, or 1-877-FTC-HELP, or 877-382-4357.
Hold on right there.
Sure.
Get your pencil and copy this number down. She's going to say it again. Would you repeat that?
Sure. Again, it's the number to the Federal Trade Commission, and that is 877-FTC-HELP, or 877-382-4357.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Can you tell our audience 3 things everyone should know or be aware of when it comes to fraud?
Sure. One thing is to always be aware of the scams that are out there today. And fraud is ever evolving, so it's changing all the time. And we're getting into AI, or artificial intelligence, so it's kind of changing the way things are going. So when you said earlier that they will call and act as though they're your financial institution, that's called spoofing. So spoofing, they will spoof a number, so it's a number that you're very familiar with and someone you trust, so you immediately pick up the phone, and then you are more apt to give them information if they think it's someone that they can trust. Okay. Monitor your bank accounts, like we talked earlier.
Number 2, monitor your bank account.
Definitely monitor your accounts regularly. Don't stay silent. Again, as we discussed earlier, a lot of this stuff, it needs to be said again. Talk to your family members and your trusted friends about what they're hearing, or if you get a phone call that sounds a little bit, if you don't stay silent about that, talk to somebody. A lot of fraud is stopped by family members who are the voice of reason, and they'll say, no, that's a
good
scam.
Friend.
Right, absolutely.
But a lot of people, a lot of us are involved in. Our pride gets to us, and so we really have to be careful of that. Stacy, I have 2 more questions for you. And is there if I'm going out of town, what and when should I tell my financial institution that I'm going out of town and it's not somebody using my credit card?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the earlier the better. I would definitely call your financial institution when you know you're going to be traveling, and they will note your account with your travel dates. So then if you're out of town and they see some behavior, because most financial institutions are monitoring your behavior just to make sure that you're staying safe and no one's getting hold of your information. So they'll note your account, and then if they see that activity outside of your normal area, then they won't think too much of it.
Okay. And my final question, and it's probably a two-parter, but is there any combination of numbers and letters that makes up a good password or makes it hard to decipher? And how often should a person change their password?
So the best thing to do is not use passwords at all, but passphrases. So
Okay.
if you use just like a name or a mother's maiden name, that's a very simplistic password.
Okay.
But if you use a lot of people like to use their pets' names. So if
Sure.
they use, I love my pet cat, so and so, and then with an exclamation mark, that's a lot
Or
harder.
what was my fifth grade teacher's name?
Yeah, but if you use the whole phrase
Okay,
and
right.
not just the name.
Okay.
So if you use the entire phrase, then it's a lot harder for scammers to get a hold of and to
Right.
figure out. So
Now, how often should I change my password?
I would, if you can change it you can change it as often as you like. The more often, the better. I would say every 30 to 60 days.
Okay.
If you keep on top of that, and don't use simplistic passwords.
Okay, all right. Stacy, this has been enlightening, really, really good. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being with us here on Senior Notebook. And we want to thank you for being with us here on Senior Notebook. And we'll see you next time. And always remember, whatever you do, you be safe.